Good evening and welcome to episode 11 of the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast on FingerLakes1.com and FingerLakes1.tv. We're recording this episode live on Monday evening, August 25th, 2014. I'm your host, Jim Sinacropi, and once again I'm joined up here in the studio tonight by my co-host, the Big Easy, Bob LaPrade.
Good evening, Jim.
How's it going, Bob? How'd you play in league tonight?
Good. 39, I believe.
39, pretty good. We're trying to round our games in for the old club championship on Saturday at Seneca Falls, right?
Trying to dial it in.
So we'll talk about that tonight, and we'll also be talking about, main topic tonight, we're going to talk about how to prepare for an important round or a tournament. And I have holding on the line Kevin Savage. He's the head pro at Timber Banks. Just this past week won the Central New York PGA Sectional Championship at Shenendoah.
Awesome.
So he'll tell us how he prepared for that one, and that's a major. That's like the biggest one.
Yeah.
On the Central New York PGA Tour. We'll also discuss game golf, which is Bobby's pick of the week, and we'll talk about, we'll give you a whole 11 of our Finger Lakes Dream 18, and why you shouldn't try to predict the future for my Zen Tip of the week near the end of the show. So without further ado, I have Holden on the line right now. He's actually in his car driving to Long Island after playing on a Pro-Am somewhere today, I believe. It's Kevin Savage. How you doing tonight, Kev?
I'm great, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Great. Thanks for taking the time to call in, and congratulations on the big win. I think it was your third time winning that particular event.
Yeah, it was quite a pleasure. It was my biggest win since hip replacement, and I battled rheumatoid arthritis, and they got me on Xeljanz, which is doing wonders for me. So it's kind of like a turnaround, basically. And I tell my students, if you don't have your health, you've got nothing. So
that's a good point. Now, you've had a pretty good year this year, and so the health is kind of turned around, and it's got to feel like a second lease.
Yeah, definitely. And next year I'll be a rookie again when I turn 50. So.
That's right. Well, that's definitely awesome to win a major event like that on your 49th in your 49th year. And so tell us a little bit about the tournament itself. I let me see here. I got the scores. Thought I had the scores. But Shenendoah, great golf course at Turning Stone, and tell us a little bit about the event and the 36-hole event. Tell us a little bit about the 2 rounds and how you've closed it out.
Yeah, sure. It's obviously it's our biggest major of the year. You kind of get ready and gear for it, and to me, there's 10 or 12 guys that can win it that are going to be there. And I was pretty right in forecasting it. It was the guys I thought that would be around at the end, and they're also having great years. Mark Tucker, Eric Manning, and my brother snuck in there too. He finished 4th, but we're second on the national list. The history of the tournament, we used to play section championship and then what's called our club pro qualifier to go to the national championship. They used to be separate events.
Right. Now
they're combined into one, so it's to me a double major.
So does that mean you're going to the national club pro tournament?
Right. Next June, it's in Philadelphia at the Cricket Club.
Oh, awesome!
Nice.
Awesome.
So that's our qualifier basically. So qualifying for next June, and then hopefully get in the top 20. But you got some strong sticks there when you hit the national level. And that's the qualifier to get into the PGA Championship.
Right, correct. Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
At that next year. I haven't looked that far ahead.
Well, $3,500 first prize. It's a $25,000 purse, which is nice for our local club pros to get a chance to play for some bigger money than they do week to week.
Right.
And Nick Serafino also played well this week. I think he finished 5th.
Oh, nice.
Mentioned Nick because he's the pro I used to caddy for years, and I tell a lot of stories on here from my caddying days, and I remember you and Mark Tucker and all those names from back in the late 1980s.
Yeah, we're not that old though.
No. Well, times have changed quite a bit since then, and in the local golf scene, but it seems like you've landed at a nice track at Timber Banks. Bob and I just played there last Sunday, and boy, what a facility!
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely great facility. I got recruited by them in 2009 when I won Teacher of the Year, and I was fortunate enough to win it again last year. Gary Pooler, who owns Timber Banks Enterprises, what a great facility. If you haven't played it, any of your viewers, it's only Nicholas Design in upstate New York. It's fabulous course conditions. It's a great layout.
Now, speaking of the conditions and layout, how do you go about playing on those greens every day?
Yeah, they're tough. Unfortunately, I don't get a lot of time to play there. I practice there quite a bit. I don't play it as often as I'd like, but our season's so short that I'm usually on the practice tee quite a bit of lessons. So I get to play it once in a while, but not enough. But yeah, you've got to hit it in the right quadrant on the green.
Yeah, I'll say had a 4-putt. Hit a few 3-putts, and but yeah, actually I'm excited to get back there now that I have some idea of what to expect.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun too. I mean, it's the greens are severe, but where do you see that around here? So it's
right.
It's if you take it as a challenge and don't concentrate too much on shooting the best round of your life and go out there and try to have fun and hit and try to make some long putts or make some difficult 2-putts, then you can have a lot of fun, and that's what we did on Sunday.
Absolutely.
So Kevin, Bob and I have our club championship this week, and that's what we kind of gear our games towards all year here in Seneca Falls. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight was, how do you prep for the big rounds or the big tournaments? And maybe, for you it's the Sectional PGA Championship. For us, it's the club championship. For some people, it's a certain tournament or playing a certain course. Whenever I go to a place, like I played Cog Hill a few years ago, and I tried to get my game in shape for when I got there. What are some of the things that you do or have done over the years that to help you prep for these big events or these bigger rounds?
Yeah, my preparation doesn't start like the week before, a few days before. I tell my students that when you've got something major like that coming up, you just hope you're peaking at the right time. And one big thing I recommend is to have a good instructor first off, because most of the time what you think you're doing, you're not doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Keep working on the wrong things, you're not going to get anywhere. So I had a set of eyes, a really good friend of mine that used to be a DJ member, Brad Stevens, and he's a guy I kind of go to. And we played a practice round. I was preparing a month and a half before. I was getting into, when I had time to practice and short game, and I had worked at Turning Stone for 3 years, so I knew going in.
Knew the course.
Lay out very well. I liked my chances, but I had to be peaking at the right time. But Brad saw a couple things, and I did tell him he's got to look at my putting, because if I can continue to putt the ball as poorly as I putt it, it's going to be a long end of the year. It's always great to have another set of eyes. I would recommend to your viewers, definitely a PGA professional, to get a look at it, get you on a roadmap to what you need to work on. And, your preparation should start with a club championship probably 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. You're working and starting to peak. And the one thing I don't do, I don't really cram week of.
Right.
I feel confident I'm ready, and it's important to get rest. And you can overwork it, leave it on the range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Where really for your big events, you don't want to necessarily do what you would do anything different than you would for as you're playing normal rounds throughout the course of the year. You don't want to, because in a way that sometimes puts a little more emphasis on your head. Is like, oh, this is a big event, I got to play good today. Whereas,
right.
If you're trying to work on your game throughout the course of the season and you get to a certain point, you don't have to do really anything extra, except kind of show up and do what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The hardest thing and I find this a lot with students. A lot of people practice what they're good at, and they never seem to practice a weakness. And if you only practice what you're good at, funny thing about golf, the thing that is your weak point will usually show up
at the worst possible time.
Yeah, right.
If you practice the weak points and you don't have a weak point, I mean, you look at McIlroy right now. I don't think that guy has a weak point in his game.
Right.
You got to practice what you're not good at, get better, and you have to be willing to do what the other guys don't want to do if you want to be successful. Whether that's getting up early in the morning before you work and practice, or late at night after work. There's days I putt when I didn't want to putt, but I'm like, you need to putt.
Right.
Not willing to do that, then don't expect to win.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess part of the challenge, and it's the same, I think, for an amateur or a PGA pro, is finding the time in your busy schedule to, fit in these practice sessions, and you really do have to commit to it. Otherwise, weeks can slip by. You kind of lose it.
Very quickly.
Make excuses and not do the work.
Right.
Doing the work is part of the process.
So what about kind of the night before the event, like the night before you played at Shenendoah, or the night before, next Friday night before the club championship? Anything different that you want to get a good night's?
I actually, I did a lot of lessons, and on Sunday I booked basically like a half day, and I got out of there at about 1 o'clock. Drove up there. I stayed at Vernon Downs. I didn't stay at the resort because they wanted too much money to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed at Vernon Downs, kind of away from it. I'm not a big gambler, so I didn't be at the casino. For me, it wasn't a social event.
Right.
I was there the primary goal was to win. The secondary goal was to qualify for the club.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up there about 3 in the afternoon. Everybody was playing a practice round. I played my practice round Friday morning early in the pouring rain with my coach. He goes, "You're hitting it great. You just gotta get your putter going a little bit." And I just worked mainly that afternoon. Just worked a lot of chipping and putting, getting used to the green speed. And the green speed changed both days. I mean, we had a lot of rain prior to the event.
Right.
Like they always overwater that golf course. I mean, it's so wet up there all the time. But I mean, it's a resort. They're trying to keep it green, so it's usually soft. And it changed dramatically the second day. The green speed and the ball would start from rolls. Tried out pretty good in 2 days. I just did a lot of short game and got adjusted to the green speed. If you're getting ready. Club championship, sometimes I grew up at Enjoy, and sometimes superintendents will course up a little bit on you.
Right.
Big event, and that's probably one of the most important areas.
Mm-hmm.
Putting green and get a feel for the green speed.
Yeah, the green speed changes day to day.
I had about a 4-hour session just chipping, pitching, and putting. And I didn't feel like I needed to play another practice round. And the big thing for me was to make sure I got enough rest and wasn't pushing my body to the point where I get a flare-up or anything. 'Cause, like I said, that over-preparation, I've done that before, and I know the limits on my body. So for me, rest is critical.
Sure.
Not be out there. I can't pound 400 balls like I used to. I hit enough to get. And the importance, obviously, short game, 67% of the game is 100 yards and in. So that's kind of the area I was working, and I knew it wouldn't tax my body.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've played in the club championship since I was 15 years old, I think, and it's the only event for me where I still, when I'm warming up and getting ready to head to that first tee, that my stomach hurts a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Do you get that feeling still at all when you're playing? I mean, I bet you would at the club championship, the national club pro champ next year.
Mm-hmm.
But even at Shenendoah, is it? Do you still get those nerves?
If I always figure this: if I'm not nervous, I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good
Look
point.
at it as excitement, not nervousness. I mean, I remember playing my first tour event. I was teeing off the 10th hole at Enjoy, which I'd played a million times, and I'm standing there and my hands are shaking.
Right, same course, just different circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, I kept telling the guys, I go, it's still golf, but it's not the same. You have noise, you have people. And, but after 2-3 holes, then you get into the process of playing golf, you don't even see it.
Sure.
So, the nervousness you have to think of as excitement, not fear. When you play scared, you're not going to play with it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I try to look at it, Bob, is that I look so forward to it, the club championship, for example. And the fact that you do feel a little nervous is because you are excited about it.
Right.
But don't let that ruin the fun that you could have. Don't, as much as you want to play good, enjoy the fact that you're out there competing, you know, and
The thing I go in, and I think this is important, is, the most important shot you're going to hit is the shot you're hitting. And you can't think backwards, you can't do anything about the past, and you can't think forwards. A lot of people be like, oh, I got a par 5 here, and that's an automatic birdie, and that's a bad thought process.
right.
I try to hit it in the fairway, get it on the green, hit it the right distance, and, have a good putt at it. And if I'm not in that process, and I'm thinking backwards, forwards, I'm probably not going to do too well. But if I stay in the process, if you hear McElroy talk about that, that's probably the hardest thing to do, is to stay in the present, no matter what it is. The funny thing, on that tournament, I was hitting it so good and putting it so mediocre. But the funny thing, I never had the feeling I was going to lose. I mean, coming down the stretch, Nick came on for a while. Tucker came on for a while. I think Tucker's a number one player. I mean, what he did at the National this year, I mean, he had a chance to make it.
Yeah, I was following that.
Probably our strongest player. But, the weird thing in golf, sometimes the strongest guy doesn't win.
Not every day they don't.
Yeah. And, it's the guys that are thinking clear, and, I had no pressure on me. I just was like, okay, you're hitting it great, just keep hitting it great, and, a few putts are going to go in, and that's exactly what happened down the stretch. I didn't watch the boards much. The only time I checked was going up 18. I thought Tucker would make birdie, and we would have been tied. And I found out from our executive director, Alan Siemens, that he goes, we have confirmation he made par, and I had a one-shot lead. And I don't like going at that green in 2 anyway. It's par 5 with nothing but trouble up ahead.
Yep, I know the hole.
I just hit, perfect drive, nice 5-iron, left me an easy sand wedge, and lagged the living heck out of it to a foot short and tapped it in.
Nice.
Well, that's a nice way to do it, and with a lot on the line. Not only you got the $3,500 first prize, but a bid in the Club Pro title next or championship, national championship, and that's great. And congratulations, and next year I suppose you'll be joining Tony Saraceno and Mel Baum and some of these other guys who've progressed up past the 50-year mark.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, some of the one kid I played with in the National this year at Myrtle Beach, I mean, I don't drive it short. I'm not long by any means, but I'm around 270 to 290. And this kid, 25-year-old South African, he drops a 3-wood on the ground and blows it 40 yards by me.
Wow.
He's playing a different golf course, and he made it to the PGA. He made the highlight reel. He made about a 80-foot putt for eagle. I thought he'd make the cut. I mean, as good as he played, I thought he would make the cut at the PGA, but, like you say, each week, any given player.
Yeah, you got that right at every level. Even at our club championship, it's almost like a mini tour of the guys that
Right.
play. That we all play together on Wednesday nights. We play together throughout the season, compete in various tournaments, and now we all get to compete against each other for the top prize, our major.
Right.
So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember those days. I used to get all geared up, especially at Enjoy. A lot of club pros came out of Enjoy, believe it or not. It's amazing if you ever look at the stats. I mean, with BC Open there at the time, that was a big influence on me on what I wanted to do in life.
oh yeah, how cool that had to be to have that at your home course every year. And now they got the Champions Tour, of course,
Right.
which is great. But the BC Open was something I always looked forward to, and it's a shame that they it's part of the world today, I guess, the way golf's changing.
Yeah.
But it's still great. A lot of great names on the Champions Tour now too. It really is some good competition at that level. So, well, Kevin, I appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on the win, and hopefully we'll be catching up with you in the future. Have you on another episode?
Sure, great. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, drive safe.
Okay.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, there you have Bob. That guy beat all the other pros, all the other club pros,
Mm-hmm.
for in the biggest tournament of the year at Shenendoah. Our friend Eric Lorenzetti, who was on a couple weeks ago, head pro at Turning Stone, his
Right.
home course. He played in the event,
Right.
didn't do so well. Bob Fuller, pro at Radisson, our
Right.
former pro at Seneca Falls, competed,
Yep.
and yeah, great event.
Yeah. No less with a hip replacement as well.
Oh yeah, true. And
Yeah.
he mentioned should have got the name of that medication. I guess we can listen back, and he said he was taking something and it made all the
Right.
difference. Maybe we need to get some of that before Saturday.
Yep. Yeah. Right.
Well, it was interesting hearing his take on prepping for tournaments and dealing with the butterflies.
Yeah.
For me, some of the things, if you're playing a big round elsewhere, like I'll use the Cog Hill example. When I played Cog Hill, I went online, read up on the course, looked at the scorecard, watched some videos of PGA tournaments, that when the PGA used to play there every year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you can do, to help prep. Try to think
Right.
about the strategy for the course before you go there. Try to, and you figure out with certain courses, is there a lot of sand? You might want to practice your bunker shots. Is there,
Right.
high, rough green side? You might want to practice that type of shot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, you can even go on Google Earth, the Google Street View. Or not, it's Google Earth, yeah.
Right,
Look at the
yeah.
satellite images
Yeah.
of a course.
You can even measure distances to bunkers, those kind of things. But I'll tell you, Jim, one of my biggest concerns when it comes to club championships or any type of stroke play, for most club members, you don't have a lot of stroke play tournaments. At
Right.
least we don't.
No, it's something different.
So my biggest concern is not becoming tight during that tournament, swinging differently than you normally would.
Yeah, for me, I tend to become armsy because I'm trying to steer the ball.
Right, right. So you're standing on that first tee. Yeah, you're nervous. You got those butterflies. I try to tell myself, don't swing any differently than you would on the Sunday or Wednesday that you'd come out to play. Don't get tight because things happen differently when you have a tendency to do that. I mean, do you agree?
Oh yeah. That's the biggest challenge of it. Is to play as good. I mean, there's been years where I've gone into that club championship. We used to have an 18-hole qualifier a couple weeks before
Right.
the actual event. You had to be in the top 16 to qualify, and I would always like to get my game going to where I would have a string of like 5 or 6 qualifying scores in a row.
Mhm.
So it's just routine. I'll go out and do what I've been doing and qualify easy. And then you get on that day, you shoot like 45 on the front 9. It's a couple
Right.
times I've shown up, and even though I've been playing so well for the past 3-4 weeks, that day I just lose it because the feeling's different, and my swing changes, and I get tight over putts. So, you know, to me, that is the challenge, you know, is being able to go out there and swing the way you want to swing, and not the way that your brain's telling you need to protect yourself out there.
And trust it.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's tough to trust it because now every shot is going on the big scoreboard at the end, you know. Yep. So if you shoot a 92, it's going to get posted, you know. And so, you know, for a lot of amateur golfers, that's a scary thing because usually you're playing in tournaments where it's a team score. 4-man scramble score, or, you know, a 2-man, but when it's just you, no teammate, just you, and that number and how you feel that number is going to reflect on you, you know, it's for some amateurs, and myself included, it can become a real, you know, tough thing to deal with out there. So try to one thing I do before a big round the night before is I'll kind of play the round in my head in bed, you know, as I'm going to sleep. I don't even ever get to 18, fall asleep, but I will picture
count shots, right?
Yeah, I'll picture that, and I birdie every hole, you know, as I'm going through it, and then I fall asleep. But yeah, this year's club championship at Seneca Falls is a 36-hole medal play on Saturday, and the top 8 advance to quarterfinal match play on Sunday, semifinal match play Sunday afternoon, and the finals on Monday, Labor Day. So it should be great.
Should be a good time.
And good luck to you, Bob.
Thank you. Good luck to yourself.
So, Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast. This is episode 11, and last week we got over the 1,000 view on YouTube mark for our first time.
Yeah.
Which was pretty sweet. Mark Hillwell was on, 9-time club champ.
Yeah.
He was helping us learn how to hit shots under pressure.
Right.
But yeah, over 1,000 views on YouTube, so that's great. We're glad you guys are liking. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can click the subscribe button right there, and right below you if you're watching on YouTube. You can hook up with us on iTunes. You can hook up with us on Stitcher.com if you want to listen to us on your smartphone or in your car. And you can also, maybe the easiest way to get the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast is to download the fingerlakes1.com app in the Android or Apple store. And from there you can access the video episode, and you can access the audio episode, and wherever you go.
Right.
So, Bob, I think we should move ahead and see what your pick of the week is this week.
Pick of the week.
Pick of the week.
Pick of the week. GameGolf.com. Game Golf is a if anybody out there is familiar with the shot link on the PGA.com or PGA Tour, where they keep track of the players' shots, you can have that too. It's a small device, as you can see on the right side of your screen, that you put on your belt clip, and there's a little setup involved. At the grip end, as you can see in the picture, there's a little device that goes on there. And
through the hole at the end of the grip.
Right.
For every club.
Correct.
Including putter.
Yep, including the putter. And what you do is before you hit your shot, you kind of integrate this into your pre-shot routine. And you tap the device that goes on your belt. And what it does is it records your GPS location of where you are on the course. And it also records the club that you tapped with. So that when you hit your shot, it records that exact GPS point so that you can go back and review your shots. Not only you
can see a graphical overlay of the whole course.
Not only the club you use, the distance you hit it, and it's about as close as we're going to get to ShotLink like they have on the PGA.
Yeah. What's the cost? Pretty pricey.
It's in
I think it's about $250.
$250, yeah. So in the $250 range. We haven't personally tried it out. Love to hear from folks that have tried it and hear what they have to say. Most of the reviews that I saw online were positive. A lot of people liked it. Probably the only hang up I might have is where I would tap it in my pre-shot, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be over the ball thinking about, I
Did I
gotta
tap it?
tap it. Yeah. It gives you some feedback. I guess it gives you a beep and some vibration.
Yeah, again, but that's like foreign stuff being introduced right before you hit the ball. That's one of the things that makes me nervous about it.
Right, yeah. The last thing you want to think, I got to tap my
club into my belt.
Right. So I guess if you're in your pre-shot routine, I guess where I would probably tap it would be when I'm lining up my shot, because I don't want to think about it when I'm taking my stance or putting the club behind the ball.
You also got to tap it when you putt, which is
Yes.
weird. So if you have a tap in, you got to tap it. You got to tap the club and then tap in your putt.
Right.
And the other thing about that is, I think you could almost use it as a signaler to this is where I begin my routine.
Right.
So, but then, you're kind of committing. That's for golfers, that's a major thing. Golfers who consciously have a pre-shot routine, doing something like tapping that club against your belt is different. But if you can say, okay, that's when I do that instantly kicks my mind into I'm about to hit a golf shot.
Right. It might be a kickstart, right?
Yeah.
But if let's say you're a yard or two behind lining up a 7-iron into the green, I think that'd be a good time to do it. Okay, so you're a yard or two off from your normal 7-iron shot. Who cares, right?
Right.
So I just, personally, I don't think I could do it right before I hit the shot. When you're lining it up, you're standing over the ball, That's the last thing I want to think about is whether this device vibrated or, beeped, right?
But the payoff, though, is unbelievable. I mean, the best stats you could ever imagine accumulating about your game.
You know what's great? If you go on their website, you can compare it to, your peers. You can see
everybody
how you
else
stack
that has it, yeah.
Right. You can see how you stack up against others.
We're talking driving distance, fairways hit,
Right.
missed
Greens and
right, missed left,
regulations.
sand save percentage, number of putts.
Everything.
All the stuff that, I started using getting a score stat analyzer on my phone.
Right.
I think it was one of your picks of the week earlier this year.
Yes, yep.
And so I used it for 3 or 4 rounds, and I don't want to do it between holes. I don't want to get out my phone between holes and go, okay, this many putts, that. So I would do it after when I got home. Because I can remember every shot. So I would go through and do it, and then I forgot a couple rounds to do it. And I'm like, but this is once you got that tap, everything. And if you go to GameGolf.com, they have sample reports, and they're amazing.
Yeah,
they are amazing.
It's absolutely great, and you can see how you stack up for your handicap versus other folks in your same handicap, and it lets you know where you need to work on your game. Just like the app you were talking about, Jim. You look at that and you start to, you think you know your game, and when you start to look at the statistics, you're like,
this isn't what I thought.
Right, exactly. It's not where you thought it was. You're like, you're thinking, I need to work on my 100 yards and in. And it may be, you're chipping, you're up and down percentage, or you're putting. You don't have an idea until you really look at the statistics.
Well, I think I'm getting this one at some point, maybe for next season.
I think it would be a great device for us to get into review. Actually, if those guys want to send us a device to review,
I'll reach out to them. 1,000 views on YouTube last week, Bob. We might be able to start getting some of these perks. These perks are becoming internet famous.
Yep. Send us some clubs. We'll review them. We'll send them back to you.
Or maybe not.
Yeah,
we have to send them back.
Right.
But, GameGolf.com. That's Bobby's pick of the week. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the most revolutionary products I think I've seen in a long time. I think it's
great.
I think people got to get over that tapping part, or maybe they'll even figure out a way where you don't have to tap it eventually.
Well, if it's part of your routine, what's the big deal?
Imagine once if you went away with it, or let's say you forgot your belt or something and you didn't wear it one day, you'd still want to tap it if it was part of your routine.
Throw it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, GameGolf.com is where you want to go to check that out.
Yep.
Got some news here. Originally, I was going to lead off the news segment with the Central New York PGA Sectional Championship, but then I figured, hey, let's just get Kevin Savage on the line tonight because he could help us with some tips on prepping for big tournaments. But how about the this week, Wednesday, at Atunio, also at Turning Stone, it's the 2014 MB3 Foundation Challenge, the Notable Gate event.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Tiger Woods out.
Yep.
Eric Compton is going to replace Woods. Compton's a former Palmer Cup and Walker Cup team member. Patrick Reed will take Jason Duffner's place. So, that field took a little hit. You got to admit. You lose you replace Woods and Duffner with Compton and Reed.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick Reed, fine player, 3-time PGA Tour champ.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also a Ryder Cup member. So,
right.
He played his way on the team. So, Notable Gay, along with Jimmy Walker, currently sits in second place in the FedEx Cup race. That rounds out Team USA, and they'll take on Team International in a combined best ball format. Team International, Jonas Blixt, runner-up in this year's Masters, and Hel Cabrera.
Great player.
Yeah, a two-time major champ and 4-time President's Cup team member. 42 victories around the world for Angel.
Yeah.
He'll be
underrated. Underrated. That guy's underrated.
I agree, I think, when it comes to the whole scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
They'll join forces with 2010 British Open champ Louis Oosthuizen and Jonathan Vegas, rounding out the international team. So that's Wednesday at Atunio. Turning Stone, great event. Tickets available still. And it's great to have players of that caliber. If you can get a chance to get out and watch those guys play on a course like Atunio, got to be a great day.
Louis Oosthuizen, great swing.
Speaking of Tiger Woods, just today it was announced he's parting ways with Sean Foley.
Thank God.
Woods says, I'd like to thank Sean for his help as my coach and for his friendship. Woods said, Sean is one of the outstanding coaches in golf today, and I know he will continue to be successful with players working with him. With my next tournament, not until the World Challenge event, December 1st through 7th at Islesworth in Orlando, this is the right time to end our professional relationship. And you think that that's a good move by Tiger?
I think it's a great move by Tiger. I think it's a great move for golf. I think Tiger needs to one of two things. He needs to get the thoughts out of his head, swing away, and or go back to the Butch Harmon School of Golf. I'm not saying he should go back to Butch Harmon, but I think he needs to stop thinking so much.
Yeah.
Put the ball up in a stance and swing away. I really think that's what needs to happen.
Well, so we'll see in December who he brings on board as his new swing coach.
There's plenty of time for things to happen, right?
Foley coaches Hunter Mahan, who won the Barclays this week.
Yes, he does. Foley is he's a teacher of more of a rotary type swing, and I don't think that fits Tiger Woods' style. Very rotary. Tiger Woods is more of a up and down through type swinger. We'll see what happens.
Well, speaking of Hunter Mahan, he won the Barclays, the first leg of the FedEx, and this PGA playoffs have been around for a while, and it's awesome because normally after the PGA Championship we tune out.
Yeah.
And now these are great events, great leaderboards.
Right.
What a great Sunday final round again. Jim Furyk was in the mix, Ernie Els was in the mix,
right.
and Kuchar.
Yep.
Matt
Kuchar.
These big leaderboards and big tournaments, and the best part is a lot of these players coming down 18, they need to make a par or a birdie to advance.
Right.
You get cut. You get cut.
Yeah. You go home.
Yeah. So next week they're off to the Deutsche Bank, and I think the field gets cut down to 70 after that one.
Yep.
And continues to get pared down until the Tour Championship. So great. Great viewing if you're a golf fan. So Mahan pulled away with 3 straight birdies, sealing the victory with a 20-foot putt down the slope on the par 5 17th. That I think gave him a 3-stroke lead heading into the last hole and allowed him.
He bogeyed the last hole.
Yeah, hit it in the trees on the last hole. Finished with 6 under 65, 2-shot victory, and victory in the opening FedEx Cup playoff event. And Mahan had gone 48 tournaments, almost 30 months since his last win.
Yep.
And you see him up there a lot, especially at Augusta. He seems to do well. He's always kind of up there contending, but it hasn't closed.
Right.
And he's not on the Ryder Cup, so this is making a.
Well, he might be a pick.
Yeah, this is making a bid
point.
to be a pick.
Right.
So timely win by Hunter Mahan. Hey, I got some hole-in-ones around the area
Nice.
this week, like the one that Ben Kelwait hit on August 1st. That's going back a little ways, but got reported this week. Hit the 135-yard 13th hole at Highland Park with a 9-iron. John Ditzwaller used a 9-iron to score a hole-in-one on the 128th-yard 17th hole at Reservoir Creek in Naples. Gary Masciol... Some of these names. Gary Masciotetti.
Mascaletti?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he used a pitching wedge to ace the 124-yard 8th hole at Lakeshore. Jeff Zorro used a 6-iron to score a hole-in-one on the 181-yard 16th hole at Clifton Springs. And Nancy Rutz aced the 110-yard par 3 12th at Seneca Falls Country Club, her first career ace, and she has one more than her son David Rutz has. So how about that?
Fantastic.
Congratulations,
Nice.
Nancy Rutz. So we're moving on here in the hour here, episode 11, and it's time now for our Dream 18.
Nice. Dream 18.
We're up to hole 11. We take them in order, and for the 11th hole of our Dream 18, it has to be an 11th hole. I love the 11th hole at Seneca Falls Country Club, Bob, but I didn't pick it.
Right.
But I do love the 11th hole at Seneca Falls. Giant, old, historic oak tree right in the middle of the fairway. Severe dogleg right. Big valley between the edge of the fairway and the green.
Lined
A
with
million
trees
different
on the
ways
right.
to play it.
Yeah.
Interesting green.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most beautiful parts of the course at Seneca Falls, if you're standing underneath that oak tree on a sunny morning or late evening, and the shadows cast by those giant old limbs, it's nice.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's not our hole this week.
Nope.
Hole 11 for the Finger Lakes Dream 18 comes from a viewer suggestion this week, and it's from Mike in Farmington, who sent in a suggestion of number 11 at Cobblestone Creek in Victor. It's a par 4, 368 from the back tees, 341 from the blues, and 314 from the whites. And it's a short, one of the easiest par 4s at Cobblestone. It's it's a short tee shot, drivable for some actually. And it's a birdie opportunity. The fairway narrows towards the entrance to the green, and there's a pot bunker back left and a sand bunker front right. And as you can see by the photo on the screen here, they got some interesting bunkers over there at Cobblestone. You ever played Cobblestone, Mom?
Yes, I have.
So you remember this hole?
No, I don't. I played it once, and it was many years ago. I have a tough time remembering holes that I've only played once.
Well, this is your typical risk-reward hole. And, sometimes some of my favorite holes in golf are the shorter holes with a lot of character. The hole that you look at and like, I'm going to birdie this hole, but then you can find yourself in all sorts of different kinds of situations. And I like holes that present options, too. On a 440-yard par 4, you don't have many options. You're going to have to hit a drive as hard as you can and probably hit a long iron as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And but some of those shorter holes, especially for amateurs, there's just different options and ways to play it, and this is one of those holes.
Well, that pot bunker looked like a son of gun right there.
Yeah, a lot of wood in those bunkers. It's just a different look at Cobblestone. So, number 11 at Cobblestone Creek in Victor, that's hole 11 of Finger Lakes Dream 18. So next week it's on to hole number 12. So send in your suggestions to contact@fingerlakes1.com, subject line Finger Lakes golfer, with your suggestions on the best hole number 12 in the Finger Lakes. Think about it. Put your thinking caps on. And we want to know what your best hole number 12 is. So with that said, Bob, it's time to for one of my favorite parts of the show, our final segment. That's right, Bob. It's our Zen Tip of the Week.
Sweet.
Zen Tip of the Week.
You know, one of our friends just watched last week's episode a couple hours ago, and they texted me and they said that we make them laugh. And I said, this isn't a comedy show. It's a golf podcast.
Right,
you know, what are you laughing at? What are you trying to say?
Why? Because of the Zen Tip of the Week? Or
No, I just think because he knows us and he looks and sees our faces and hears some of the things we talk about. And
Hey, you got to buy into it. We know what we're talking about.
sure we do. And we'll prove it this weekend at the club championship. As a matter of fact, I would love it if on Monday it was you versus me. Then we'd have something to talk about.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? That'd be a 2-hour episode.
It would be, and it would be a Labor Day special because we've already talked about it. We'll be back here next Monday night, 9 o'clock. I know it's Labor Day, but
there's no NFL football.
Nope, there's not much of anything.
Really, no, nothing.
Yep, so we'll be back. So what are we going to do during Monday Night Football? You still going to do the show?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to discuss that, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll keep it going for, like we said, we're going to probably keep this show going through September and then lighten up the schedule going forward and then bringing it back full bore weekly next April.
Absolutely.
So this week's Zen Tip of the Week is do not try to predict the future.
No.
You're not a soothsayer. You're not a psychic. You don't have a crystal ball. You can't predict the future. So don't try when you're on the golf course because it's probably one of the worst things you can do, especially if you're playing in a round where you have some expectations like the club championship or like Kevin Savage said in the PGA, Central New York PGA sectional title. He actually said this exact same thing. Stay in the present.
Right.
And, don't count your chickens before they hatch, and you won't be so disappointed with a broken egg once in a while. That's a quote from the Zen Golf by Dr. Joseph Parent.
And that's especially applicable to match play, right? You're 6 foot away for a par. Your opponent is 25 foot away for a par. Right? You're thinking, I got this in the bag.
I make this putt. I'm going to win the hole.
Right. You got to count on your opponent making that psychologically, right?
Sure.
You got to count on it happening.
That way you're not in shock when it does.
Right.
And then you got that 6 footer to tie.
How many of the viewers or me and you have had that happen to us?
Well, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. For the best execution of a golf shot, your body and mind need to be synchronized, which can only happen if you're in the present. So if you're daydreaming about, if I do this, I'm going to shoot that, or if I do that, I'm going to ruin my round, or if this happens, these are the repercussions. That has nothing to do with the task at hand.
Right.
And it happens, like you said, mostly on putts. Sometimes you'll have a short par putt, and you're thinking, okay, once I make this, I'm going to be here, and then I'm going to go do that.
Right.
And, really that has nothing to do with your putt. A putt's a ball, a few feet of grass, and a hole. That's all that exists in the present.
Mm-hmm.
Any meaning you add to it, making up for the double bogey on the last hole or needing it to tie the hole or to shoot your lowest score ever, it has to do with the past and your expectations for the future, not making the putt.
Right.
None of that has anything to do with making the putt. The putt's the ball, a few feet of grass, and the hole.
And I think it's easier to stay in the present in match play than it is in stroke play, because I think
each hole's its own thing,
right.
So yeah.
Each hole's its own match, sort of, right?
Sure, it ends when the hole's over,
right.
And then the next hole is a new match.
So
one whole match.
So if you're playing, pick a hole, it doesn't matter, 5, let's say, and you shoot a 13. And regardless of what your opponent does, let's say they par at 4 or 5, whatever, it's that hole is that match. It's easier to stay in the present in match play than it is stroke play.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there for sure. On that. When you brood over a bogey on an easy hole,
yeah,
Like this happens a lot at Seneca Falls Country Club. You got a good round going. You hit hole 15, one of the easiest par 4s on the course, right before one of the toughest par 4s on the course. And you bogey it, or maybe double it. It happens. And you just brood over. You're like, I can't believe I did that. If I would have only done this, then I'd be here instead of there. And while you're out, that's all going through your mind. You got to step up and hit the hardest tee shot of the day and finish the last 3 holes.
Right.
And it's just no frame of mind to be in. Mm-hmm. And then so naturally you're going to be like, oh, now I got to, birdie this next hole or to make up for that mistake on the 15. But you make bogeys and double bogeys on easy holes, and you make birdies on hard holes, and none of it has to do with anything. Right. Anything that's happened before or after. It just has to do with what's happening in the present.
What Jim, what cooks my goose more than anything is missing the putt. I'd rather miss the green from 100 yards than
make bogey that way.
Yeah, I can't stand missing a putt. That really cooks my goose. And
well, you're gonna miss putts, though, Bob. It's part of golf.
I know, but that's what really gets me going.
Hey, same with me. I feel part of it is you think that I've done all the work, on this hole.
Right.
Now I just got to make this 4-foot putt to get the score I expect.
But even if you
expected.
But even if you didn't hit the green in regulation and you made a great chip to 3.5, 4 feet. You go up there, you're feeling good about yourself. You're like, I gave myself a chance. And then when you blow that putt, that's...
You might as well hit a crap chip and two-putted.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. You got to punch the clock on those short putts, without a doubt.
Right.
This happens, too, a lot when you get off to a good or bad start. You project into the future, and, that'll make you lose patience and eventually lead to you making bad decisions. So, you get off to a bad start, and you're sitting there on the 5th or 16, you're thinking about how bad it was, and you feel like I got to make it up now. Mm-hmm. And so that's not a good frame of mind to be in. And then another thing is when you get off to a good start, you start thinking about what can be in the future. Geez, if I keep this going, I might shoot this.
Right.
Sabotage. You're sabotaging yourself.
You ain't kidding.
So
Beastie Boys, sabotage.
So do not try to predict the future on the golf course. This week's Zen Tip of the Week.
And you know what? Just to add to that, don't talk to yourself. Don't have dialogue. Don't talk about I could do this, I could do that. Try your best to push those thoughts out of your mind.
Fire your evil caddy.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Well, we'll be trying to put all these tips and Zen tips and
I agree.
Tips from pros like Kevin Savage and Eric Lorenzetti and 9-time club champ Mark Howell. We're trying to kind of put them all into practice this weekend. Hit the club championship. 36 holes of medal play on Saturday. Top 8 survive. And we're projecting a field of 20, maybe 20-ish guys.
Yep.
No real idea. I'm guessing that 80, 81, 162 might be the cut.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I think...
could be higher, could be lower, which is another reason when you're out in the course, you shouldn't think, I need to do this on this hole to qualify.
I think 158 to 160, you're in. Somewhere in there.
Whoo, boy.
Why say you?
I don't, because, I'm not playing that good. Other years, I have not been playing good this year. Maybe it's this podcast coming in here talking about it. It's got me all screwed up and then going on the golf course.
Well, you know what? You need to have, get yourself a nice hot bath the night before.
You want me to take a bath?
Yeah, take a bath. Put some candles around it,
A little lavender oil or something like that.
Whatever it takes, right?
You know what? I'm just going to try to hit the putting green at least, once a night heading through this week.
You might see me down there.
Yeah, chipping and putting. And then, make sure, like you said, that every swing I take is the best swing I can put on it. Don't arm it, swing with confidence. And try it. And I'm going to enjoy the day. It's when do guys like us get to play 36-hole medal play?
Right.
One day. So
Yep.
So I'm excited, and that's the way I'm going to approach it. Is it's going to be a fun day, and let the cards fall where they may. If after 36 holes I'm not in the top 8, then it just wasn't meant to be this year.
I think that's a good attitude.
But one thing that's killing me, is that I have had to play in 4-man scrambles the past few weeks, and I got another one Wednesday.
It's that time of year.
Oh, man.
It's that time of year.
So last Wednesday when we normally play, it rained. We got rained out, didn't get to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I had played in a scramble on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Minders Academy Above the Rim Club basketball fundraising tournament, 4-man scramble.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played in the Seneca Falls Country Club Cash Bonanza on Sunday, another 4-man scramble. And this Wednesday morning, I'm playing in the Seneca County Chamber of Commerce 4-man scramble.
Right.
And then finally Wednesday night, I'm going to go back out and play with our normal guys on my own ball.
Yeah.
And that might be it. I might try to get something in Friday, but it might not happen.
Right.
So heading into this club championship, my most important tournament of the year, I've my last 4 rounds, 3 of them have been 4-man scrambles.
Well, you have a scramble on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday morning.
Play it like it's your own ball.
Yeah, got to try to work on just the shots you're hitting, not really trying to, not trying to hit that driver off the deck from 250 to get to the green.
Yeah, none of that.
Yeah.
None of that gearing it up. And, I think you just play it like it's your own ball and work it into your routine.
Well, what about your game?
I feel pretty confident right now. I actually, for the first time in many years, I feel confident. I feel I could use some work around the green. And I think we all feel that.
Well, you can get
anytime,
down there on the greens this week at night on the practice green.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Try to just get
I'll
comfortable.
Be down there. Oh, you'll see me if you're there. You'll see me.
Oh, I'll be there.
I could. I feel good off the tee, and I feel good with mid to long iron shots. I feel like I'm peaking.
That's perfect.
I really do.
That's perfect.
I really do. I think I could use some work around the green, like I said.
Well, the nice thing about the 36 holes is prior years it's been an 18-hole qualifier 2 weeks before Labor Day weekend, before the actual tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And, you get off to a bad start or have a bad stretch of holes early in that 18-hole round, you really can start to panic. But I think over 36 holes, I already know I'm going to have a stretch or two that I don't play great during that 36 holes. So if it happens in the first 3 holes of the day, then I'll be like, must be one of my bad stretches. I have never played 36 perfect holes of golf,
No.
So that's just going to happen. And
even if
at
it
some
happens
point,
in the middle, right?
Yeah, whenever it happens, I'm not going to play. I'm going to try to par or birdie every hole, but historically, every round I have, there's a stretch where I don't do that. So that's going to happen during the 36-hole qualifier. I'm ready for it. Going to post the best 2 scores I can. Hopefully, we both advance, Bob, to the match play quarterfinals on Sunday morning, and then the match play semifinals on Sunday afternoon, and then if we're fortunate enough to play on Labor Day Championship Monday at Seneca Falls in the final match. And there's also a senior men's division and a women's division that'll be competing this weekend. So,
Absolutely.
and I think they're having their club championship over at Geneva.
Nice.
This weekend too. So I think a lot of area clubs do have Labor Day club championships Labor Day weekend because you got the 3-day weekend.
Right.
So good luck if you happen to be playing. And Bob, we're going to be back Monday night.
Yeah.
We'll talk all
Monday
about
night.
our club championship.
Yep.
We'll probably have some great stories.
Yeah, I think we will.
We might have the ultimate story. We
You
might
never
tell
know.
the story of Bob LaPrade, 2014 Seneca Falls Country Club champ.
or Jim Sidicropi, right?
I like the sound of
never
that.
know.
I like the sound of that. Well, before we get out of here, this is your last chance. This offer expires on August 31st to get yourself a point practice putter at getthepointgolf.com. For Finger Lakes Golfer podcast viewers, it's only $129.99. That's a $30 discount off the retail price if you enter the coupon code FingerLakes1. And again, by the time you tune in next week, that offer's gone. You got to do it now. If you've been listening to us and thinking, I'd like one of those point practice
Get
putters,
on it.
do it now. And again, we'll be back next Monday for our for a special Labor Day edition, and we'll be able to now. Is the Deutsche Bank? Does that end? Is the final round on Monday, Labor Day Monday at the Deutsche Bank? I think it is.
It may be. They might have a Saturday start, right? I don't know.
That would be a Friday start, and if that was
Oh
the
yeah,
case.
yeah, it would be a Friday start. Yeah. I don't know.
I seem to remember that they do, but it does finish on Monday. But who knows?
That could be.
I
don't know.
could just be.
I'd like to hear from the viewers. Let's hear a poll. Who's going to finish better, me or you?
Oh, we wanted to have an informal
Yeah.
poll on
Yeah,
who's
let's hear it.
Jim or Bob going to shoot better in the club or make it farther. So
Yeah, let's see who finishes.
hey, contact at fingerlakes1.com. Subject line: Finger Lakes golfer. Who's going to do better in the club championship, Jim or Bob?
Yeah, let's hear it, folks.
Well, thanks for tuning in tonight, and thanks to Kevin Savage again for spending some time on the phone
Yeah.
with us as he
Thank you,
drives to
Kevin.
Long Island. And we hope you had a great time hanging out with us for the past hour for episode 11 of the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast. We'll be back next Monday night at 9 p.m. Until then, him long, not
Not
often.
often.
/FL1.
Fingerlakes1.com